So like any other applications, the Active Directory has also got the database. Okay, the database of the Active Directory we call it as ntds.dat. Okay, the database name of the Active Directory is ntds.dat. Okay, so it has got 4 partitions in it because Active Directory is a very intelligent tool. It will not mix up the things because it is always segregates the things and keep separately to increase the performance and efficiency of the Active Directory service. Okay, so when I talk about the partitions inside the Active Directory, there are 4 partitions. One is schema partition, second one is configuration partition, domain partition, and application partition. So this schema partition is there now. This is the main partition of the Active Directory where you can store all the classes and attributes. Like if you want to create a username, set the password. Okay, that is called as classes and data means when you create a username or when you create a computer object, that is called as classes. Okay, so each and every classes or objects has got attributes. Say for example, when I create your username like rakshit at the rate microsoft.com, if I create, so what happens, I need to enter your first name, your last name, and your email id, I mean your username like rakshit at the rate microsoft.com, and which no, what is your phone number, who is your manager, okay, which department you are belongs to. So these are all the attributes. Actually you can see here the classes means it is user, groups, computer, printer, shade folder, etc. Attribute means it is your first name, last name, group name, computer name, your manager name, mobile number, all these things are the attributes. So attributes are nothing but the properties normally. Okay, so all this information will be stored in the schema partition. And the next one is configuration partition. So configuration partition, so it will store all the information about the domain related information about I mean the user account, password, telephone IDs, etc. Okay. Previous they showed its computer name, user information, but user account is different, user is different. Okay, because say for example, if your name is Mallikarjun, some initial, your username may be Mallikarjun with initial, but your user account is Mallikarjun at the rate Microsoft.com. That is your user account. Okay, that stores in the configuration partition. Okay, and in the domain part, sorry, um, sorry, configuration partition stores all the existing your DNS servers. Okay, removed namespaces. Say for example, how many number of domain controllers are there, how many number of DNS servers we have, which is the latest DNS or domain controller added, what is the latest what is the recently the domain controller or the DNS server removed. That all the configuration related information will be stored in the configuration partition. So the domain partition means it stores the domain partition, so all the information about the user account, password, etc., etc. Okay, that is about the domain partition. So the last one is application partition. The application partition is not created by default. So the Active Directory ntds.dat will be having only 3 partitions by default: schema, configuration, and domain. When you integrate any application along with the Active Directory, then Active Directory creates a separate partition to store the information about that application. That is called as application partition. Say for example DNS. So DNS and Active Directory are like both are like a husband and wife. Without the DNS, Active Directory will never work. But without the Active Directory, DNS will work. So here Active Directory is completely depend on the DNS. Hence, what we do while installing the domain controller, even if you just install the Active Directory domain services, that Active Directory domain services by default automatically installs the DNS as well. I'll show you tomorrow. Okay. So what happens in the Active Directory database? We create separately a partition for DNS. So any application that you integrate with Active Directory, your Active Directory creates a separate partition and store. So that partition we call it as application partition. Okay. So that is about the partitions. Any question here? Okay. I'll take it as no. So this Active Directory has got some terminologies. Okay, see, terminology is about the Active Directory. So I was explaining you the name of the database, right? The name of the Active Directory database is ntds.dit. So this ntds.dit means it's New Technology Directory Services dot Directory Information Tree. Okay, that is the abbreviation of the Active Directory database. New Technology Directory Services dot Directory Information Tree. So it is the database file name of the Active Directory. Okay, and NTDS means, New Technology Directory Services. DIT means Directory Information Tree. The DIT is the extension of the Active Directory database. People may ask you, what is the extension of the Active Directory database? You can just dot DIT. DIT means it is Directory Information Tree, because you already know Active Directory means it is the Microsoft Identity and Access Management services, and it will help you to store your information in an hierarchical manner, correct na? So that is called as directory information tree. Okay, then we have sysvol. Actually, sysvol means it is a system shared volume. It is the folder in the Active Directory, so where we store all the database related information which should be shareable for another domain controller. I told you, right, if you have one domain controller in Hyderabad, whatever information you create there, that will be replicated to the another domain controller. So say for example, you have two domain controllers, one is in Hyderabad, another is in Bangalore. A new user joined in Hyderabad, you created his username. Within fraction of less than 5 minutes, that information will be just come and sit in the Bangalore domain controller as well. Similarly, if you reset the password, that information will be just come and sit in the Bangalore domain controller. And if you make any changes in the Bangalore domain controller, that will go and sit in the Hyderabad location. So all the servers or the domain controllers in the domain will be having the replication. So that replicated information should go and sit in the sysvol folder. So or any group policy changes or any new group policy you created, that information will go and sit in the system shared volume folder, so that will be replicated to all the domain controllers in the estate. Okay, that's about the sysvol folder. Then the replication is there. Replication means, so I just told you, right, information exchanging the information between the domain controller are called as replication. Okay, there are two types of replication. One is intra-site, so where the replication happens within the network. Say for example, in the Bangalore location only, in the same office only, you have two domain controller. So that time the replication happens between the domain controller in the same location. So that is called as intra-site. So inter-site means the replication happens between the domain controller of different location. Say for example, you have one domain controller in Bangalore location, another domain controller is there in Bangalore location, one more domain controller is in Bangalore location. So the information exchange will happen among this domain controller. Okay, so this is Bangalore. So if the replication happens between the domain controller of same location, that is called as intra. So if you have any other domain controller in the other location, okay, say for example, you have some servers in the Hyderabad location. Here you have some servers. Okay, now this is Hyderabad. Okay, so now say for example, from the any one domain controller of the Bangalore and any one domain controller of the Hyderabad, if their application is coming, okay, that is called as inter-site. This is intra. This is intra. Okay, so if the replication happens between the domain controller of the same location or same site, that is called as intra. If the replication happens between two different domain controllers of different location or region, that is called as intersite. Okay, so site means it's a physical location. So Bangalore is a physical location, Hyderabad is a physical location. It is not necessarily, it is two different physical locations. Say for example in Bangalore, if you consider, you have one office in Whitefield, another one is Manyata Tech Park, another one is EcoSpace Bellandur, example. So if the replication happens between Whitefield, Manyata Tech Park, and Eco Space, two different physical site, right? That is also called as inter-site. So within the Manyata Tech Park only, within the same building, if you have two domain controller, that is intra. Okay, that's about the terminologies and the replication and the sites information. Okay, so here you see couple of ports I have mentioned actually. So ports means I've already told you last. I think I've already told you. See, if you have a computer now, so one computer means that computer have around 65,535 ports. Okay, so ports are nothing but the doors. Like you have your house. In your house, your lot of vents are there. Door is there, that is for a specific usage. If you want to get into house or go out of the house, you will use door. And you have windows. Windows are dedicatedly kept to get the air and the sunlight. And you have the ventilations to push bad airs and get the fresh airs. And you have exhaust so to send the smoke and make the smoke free, right? So each and every vent has got different usage and meaning, correct? Similarly, one computer means that computer will have around 65,535 ports. Okay, each and every port is nothing but a door, and each and every port will be used for a certain set of services to communicate. Okay, so there are some important ports we need in order to have a healthy active directory environment. The first one is LDP. So LDP is the important protocol of Active Directory, lightweight directory access protocol. This is very important. If somebody asks you what is the protocol of Active Directory, you can tell it is LDAP, lightweight directory access protocol, and that works on port number 389, both TCP and UDP. Okay, and LDAP SSL, if somebody has secure socket layer, that is 636, both are same, but this is SSL and this is non SSL. Okay, and Kerberos, it is authentication protocol. When you enter the username and password morning, so this Kerberos is the person who takes the username and password and go to the domain controller and get the authentication done. Okay, that is works on port number 88. Okay, Kerberos works on port number 88, that is also TCP and UDP. And DNS, I told you, without the DNS your Active Directory will not work. When you enter your username www.facebook.com, the DNS will convert that facebook.com into the IP address like 192.168.1.10, for example. So without the DNS, your Active Directory will never work. So you have to make sure the DNS port between your client segment and the server segment is always open. Say for example, you have the DNS server and the port is not opened in the firewall between the computer where the user connected and the domain controller. That time, when the user try to browse www.google.com, he will not be able to resolve it. And when he try to open like 192.168.1.10 like that, if he try with the IP address, that works. Okay, that is why the DNS is very important. Okay, and DNS works on port number 53, that is UDP, not TCP, it is UDP. Okay, and NTP means it is network train protocol. So this is the protocol which will ensure that time is synchronized in all the uh, computers across the network. Okay, and that is port number 123. Similarly, we have LDAP global catalog, that is 3268, and SSL is 3269. Okay, and RPC, RP remote procedure call endpoint manager 135, and SMP 445. Okay, so these are all the important protocols that you need to remember. Okay, with respect to the Active Directory ports. Okay, you can take a photo of it actually. Just take a photo of it. to remember the ports. Okay.
Sir, I have one question.
Yeah.
Uh, like DNS will take the like the IP of the DNS will be like it is similar to in whichever domain it is only same only.
Voice is not audible. Mallikarjun, speak
Sir,
little louder.
sir, like
Yeah.
is it audible now, sir?
Yeah, it is better.
Sir, like DNS, whenever we install some DNS service in our system,
Mm.
like it will take the IP address of the domain only, in whichever domain it is. That's the IP of the DNS only.
No, no, no. The DNS
Okay.
server IP address is the domain controller IP. You are right. I mean, whichever server you install the Active Directory, in that
Okay.
Active Directory server, even the DNS will also be installed. So for the client computers, in place of DNS, you need to give the IP address of the domain controller. That is correct. But
Okay, sir.
if the port is not open, say for example, I'll write it here. Say for example, here you have a domain controller. This is your DNS server. And here lot many users computers are there. And in between this computer and your domain server, maybe there is a firewall. This is the firewall representation. So the traffic between in between you and the DNS will flow via this firewall. Okay, if the DNS port is 53 is not opened here, when the user type www.facebook.com, okay, it will try to resolve it to the IP address. But when it try to have the communication between your DNS server, because you mentioned your DNS server is like 192.168.1.10. Here in this PC, you have mentioned DNS server address is one. When it is trying to establish the negotiation or the communication between the server, this firewall is not allowing because port number 53 is blocked here. Since the 53 is blocked, it is this computer is unable to talk to the 1.10 to resolve fb.com, okay, and it says timed out. Then you will not be able to browse at all. But if instead of facebook.com, if you use any IP address like 192.168.1.100, then it is accessible. Correct now? Because you already converted. You're not using a name here. You're already directly using the IP address. That is the reason. Okay. So opening the firewall is very, very important. Not only 53, whatever ports are mentioned here, 389, 636, 8853, everything should be allowed between your server segment and the client segment in order to have the application. That is the reason we will use a command. The command name is telnet. Telnet space, okay, and which what is the IP address or domain name. Better to put the IP address like 192.168.1.100 and port number 53. Okay, like this. See, I'll show you.
Okay.
Now, if I go to
Like
command prompt, yeah,
yeah,
see, I'll
sir.
show you
Like
now.
we have okay, sir.
Tell
Like we
me,
have to keep open the port numbers
not the
in
port
the
number, port. Correct,
port
the
only.
required port. Each and every port has got, door has got some numbers. Okay,
Yes, sir.
and those should be always open. Like people will tell, no, please, when you switch on your gas, when you are burning the gas at home, you have to open the window. So there is a reason
Okay.
for it.
Okay.
So like that, you can just see telnet google.com 443. See, it is connected. Can you see it connected?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So now if I do telnet google.com, say for example 7c67, some random number I'm tying. See, it is not connected. Connecting to google.com, it is not connected. If the port is open, it will come like this. See, it is connected here.
Okay.
So if I put control C now, so let me put on. See, it is connect now. It is not. connecting to the godown could not open the connection. The host on port number 767 connection failed because the port is not opened. Instead of 767, if I put port number 80 also, because normally the website works either HTTP and HTTPS both 80 and 443. If I put 80, it connects. See, it connected because the ports is already opened. So this is a command to verify the connectivity is there or not. Okay.
Okay.
So telnet is the command to check the connectivity, port connectivity. What you can do, from your computer, put the DNS server IP address like 192.168.1.10 and port number 50. If the connection is connected, now as you see that the port is open. Else the port is not open, then you need to talk to your firewall team. Okay, I see the port is not open. Can you please open the port? Like that. They will open the port for you. Okay, so now there is a concept called trust relationship actually in the Active Directory. Okay, so whenever you, if you want to establish the trust between two different domains or between two different platforms, there are multiple types of trust relationship you can open. Four actually. One is forest trust, external trust, realm trust, and shortcut trust. So forest trust means the trust between two different forests. If you enable the trust between two different forests, say for example, you have this facebook.com. Okay, facebook.com, it is a domain or forest. Another one is Instagram. So Facebook have acquired Instagram forest or company. Okay, Facebook is acquiring the Instagram forest. So here we have two different forests. Correct? Instagram is a separate company, Facebook is a separate company. Both are different forests. But Facebook acquired Instagram, and what they wanted to do, they wanted to see any video that you post or anything. If you want, if any user from the Facebook, if they want to access the Instagram, you can enable the trust. What is the trust? If you enable the forest trust, if you enable the forest trust, the Facebook user can see the content of Instagram.com. Instagram user can see the content of Facebook.com. So that is why if you see, if you post a video in Instagram, a reel, that will come in Facebook. If you post something in Facebook, that will go to your Instagram. Or if you post something in the WhatsApp, you get an option. Would you like to post it in Facebook and Instagram as well? Correct. Now, because or between these three domains, there is a trust enabled, and that trust is forest trust. See, we both are friends, and you are trusting me, and I'm trusting you. Since there is a two-way trust, I will tell all my problems and happiness to you, and the same way you will tell all your problems and happiness to me. Correct. Now, because we both are having the trust, and that is the reason we both are transitive. Okay, transitive means I'm believing you, you are trusting me. I'm trusting you and you are trusting me. It is two-way. Transitive means it two-way. Non-transitive means it is not like I'm trusting you, you are not necessarily you need to trust me back. That is called as non-transitive. So the forest trust means there is a trust between two different forests. Either it can be transitive or non-transitive. But if there are two forests and if you are enabling the trust, that is called as forest trust. And then external trust. External trust means the trust between two different Active Directory versions. Maybe here the server 2016 is there, domain controller. Here server 2022 domain controllers are there. So if you enable the trust, this is called as external. So you have one side facebook.com, that is server 2016, another side you have instagram.com, that is 2022 operating system version, Active Directory version. And if you enable the trust between two different versions of server, that is called as external trust. And then the realm trust. Realm trust means It is not necessarily both the sides you have the Active Directory only. Maybe one side you have Active Directory, another side you have Linux, in Linux IAM service, or one side Novel and one side Windows. So if there is two different identity and access management platforms, okay, that time we will enable the realm trust. This is very rarely we see, okay. So that is called as realm trust. Another one is shortcut trust. So shortcut trust in the sense, it is, in my previous example I have written three domain controller here, and similar here three Hyderabad. So you have here connection replication is there, okay. So when you enable the forest trust, any one domain controller in this or any domain, even the DC1, DC2, DC3 can talk to any of the domain controller here as well in the another location. But when you say shortcut, you not all the domain controller will be able to communicate. Only one designated domain controller. Say for example, this DC01 should talk to the DC01 of Hyderabad. Okay, so only these two domain controllers should be able to have the trust. That is called shortcut. If say for example, if DC03, this one, need to have the connection, I mean communication with DC03, it cannot directly talk. What it will do, it will go and ask the DC01, and DC01 will go and talk to the DC01 of Hyderabad, and then this will establish the connection between DC03 of the Hyderabad location. So that is called a shortcut trust. Means any one particular domain controller of domain A can talk to the another particular domain controller in the domain B. That is called as shortcut trust. So the trust between the designated domain controller of two different domains or forests, that is called as shortcut trust. That's all. Clear? Okay. Silence means no. I mean, silence means yes, there is no doubt. So I'll move on to the next topic. Okay. So the next topic is FSMO. This is very, very important actually. Any interview you go, they will ask you what is trust, what is FSMO roles. Okay. So FSMO roles means, as the name itself it says, it is flexible single master operational roles. So flexible single master operations role means there are some roles in the Active Directory, okay, and those roles are flexible. Flexible in the sense, it is not necessarily you will have the roles in single server. It can be any of the domain controller. Okay, you can keep all the servers in one domain controller, roles in one domain controller, or you can keep one role in one domain controller. Okay, it is flexible. That is the reason it is called as FSMO, flexible single master operations role. Okay, let me clear the screen 1 second. Yeah, so there are five FSMO roles in each domain. When you create an Active Directory domain controller, na, so by default there will be five FSMO roles created. Okay, so there are five FSMO roles in the Active Directory. Okay, and two types are there. Two are forest wide role, another three are domain wide roles. So the forest wide roles means there will be only one role for the entire forest. So if I consider Tata.com, there are five FSM roles at the Tata.com, and two will be schema master and the domain naming master will be there in the Tata.com domain only. Okay, let me take Microsoft.com here. I'll write Microsoft.com here. So when you create a new domain called Microsoft.com, so there are five roles: schema, domain naming master, RID master, and PDC emulator, and infrastructure master. All the five FSM roles will be there here. When you create another child domain, say for example India.Microsoft.com, UK.Microsoft.com. that time even this domain will also have 5 FSM roles, but these are all the child domains, correct? See, these are all the child. Since these are all the child, the forest wide roles, whatever I told you, they will be coming from this ms.com, microsoft.com. Means these two infrastructure, sorry, domain naming master and schema master will be coming from here, and it will have only 3 additional one. The domain wide roles will be there, like RID master will be there, PDC will be there, and infrastructure master will be there. Similarly, like this also here, RID will be there, PDC will be there, and infrastructure master will be there. So if you check the FSM roles in this india.microsoft.com, it will tell you the two roles, the schema master and the domain naming master, will be coming from the top level, the microsoft.com, and the remaining one will be from the same domain. If you have 100 domains also, the same thing goes, because the schema master and the domain naming master will be flow from the forest level. Or if you have a single domain, if you have a single domain, just simply microsoft.com, you will see everything same. If you have child domain only, then you will have 3 from the child domain and 3 from the 2 from the forest level domain. Okay, that is how. So this is how the scattering of the FSM roles will be there. So there are 5 FSM roles, 2 are forest wide, 3 are domain wide. Forest wide are schema master, 1 per forest, domain name master 1 per forest, but relative identifier, primary domain controller with infrastructure master 1 per each domain. See, 1 per each domain. You know, right? Forest means it's collection of trees. Trees means collection of domains. That is the reason. So each and every tree has got its separate domain. That is the reason 1 per domain. Forest means collection of trees. Even though you have 100 trees also or 100 domains also, the one per this schema and domain naming master are only one role per each forest. When you look at the FSM roles, you will understand. Tomorrow I'll show you that. Okay. So how to check which FSMO role is in which server? So there is a command called net dom query FSMO. Go to the command prompt and in the domain controller and run this command. Okay, net dom query FSMO. It will give you what is which server or which role is in which server. You can understand easily. Okay, that's about the FSMO rule scattering. So if you want to know what is this rule, sir, if you want to know what is this each and every roles, what is the importance of each and every roles, you see, domain naming master is responsible for added or removing of the DNS server. If in your estate, if you want to see how many number of DNS servers, or if you want to add a new domain controller, or if you want to remove a domain controller, that is the responsibility of the domain naming master. If the domain naming master server is down or shut down, you will not be able to add or remove the domain controller from the estate. So whenever you are adding a new domain controller or a DNS server, or removing a DNS or Active Directory domain controller, that time domain naming master is important. It should be up and running. So schema master, say for example you have a server 2016 and you want to add a new domain of next version server 2022. That time you need to make the schema changes. That time the schema master should be up and running. If there is no schema, see, if the domain naming master and schema master is shut down, but if you are not doing any new server addition or removing any server or any, you're not making any changes in the schema, you don't have any problem at all. You can run the show without having this two domain controller. If you don't do such kind of activities like adding or removing the domain controller or making the schema changes, you don't have any problem. So RID master, then, so there are 3 domain wide role. So RID master, so this RID master responsible for giving the RID pool. See what happens when the when you create a domain controller now. So if you create a user, say for example I'll create a user or computer name called PC01. Computer will never understand with the names, you know, right? So what it will do, it will create an RID. RID means it is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Say for example this is the RID. The RID master should be having the pool of RIDs. So if there is a domain controller, there will be around 50,000 RID should be there. Means 50,000 objects can be created. Each and every object, each and every computer, each and every username, each and every group has got its own number. That number, call it as RID. So the responsibility of the RID master is to have the free RID. Say for example, if I want to create a new user, I should have the RID free. Otherwise, how a computer will give her, how a domain controller will give the RID to the newly created user? It is not possible. So the responsibility of the RID master will always have a pool of RIDs available for the new user, new computer, or new object creation. Okay, that is the RID master. So infrastructure master is responsible for having the information of the same domain groups and the other domains group, partial information of the other domain. So I was talking about Facebook and Instagram.com. So the infrastructure master knows a user from Facebook.com has belongs to or is belongs to what all groups, domain administrator or infrastructure, I mean any other administrator or whatever groups are there, application access, all the groups are there. No, what all groups the user is member of, and he also have partial information of the other domain user groups as well. So that is infrastructure master. See, tracks the changes to the objects in the other domains that are member of the groups in this domain. See, this is not understandable, but you try to remember. The infrastructure master has got the group membership and group nesting information. That's all, very simple. Group nesting or group information will be handled by the infrastructure master. That's all. And the last one is PDC emulator. This PDC emulator plays very important role in the Active Directory, because this is the major role. If the PDC is down for half an hour, you will have a lot of issues. People will not be able to log into the domain controller. People will get account knockout issues, and some people will tell the time is not syncing, and some people will tell, I'm unable to get the group policy settings. Okay, so these many problems will come because this PDC means it's a primary domain controller role. It is responsible for all the password synchronization, and it is responsible for the group policy updates, and it is also responsible for the time synchronization between the domain controller and the computer. Say for example, in our organization you have around 2000 computers. All the 2000 computer will have the same timing. If it is 8 o'clock, 19 minutes and 20 seconds, for example, in all the 2000 computer the same timing will be there, not even a single second difference will be there. That is the responsibility of the PDC emulator, to keep the time synchronized in all the computers in the state similarly. Okay, so when the PDC is down, you will get the account lockout issues. Why? Because I'll tell you. Say for example, in the Bangalore location you have two domain controller. A user is there. He was on vacation. He came to office after a week of time. By the time he comes, he forgot the password, and he entered some password, and it is forcing him to change the password. So what happens? He changed the password here, and the password change happened in the DC01. This is your DC02. So when he changed the password changed in the DC01. After some time, he went for a break, or he went for a conference hall for some other meeting. He shut down this PC, and he came back after some time, and when he tried to log in, the authentication, now this is going here. If the PDC is down, whatever password he has changed, that password has not got synchronized to this domain controller. Means the new password was not synchronized to the DC02. So now DC01 has got the new password, but DC02 still has got the old password, because he has not got any information stating that the user has changed the password and this is the new password. When you enter the username and password, the authentication is now going to DC02, and you are entering user 01 password at the rate 123, say for example. But that password 123 is not present in the DC02 because it is still there in the DC01. So 2-3 times you will enter the wrong, say actual password, but the password is not there in the new domain controller, and the DC02 tells the password you are entering is incorrect, and it will lock your account. because it does not got any information. So why I'm telling you this one, since the PDC is responsible for the password synchronization, time synchronization, and group policy synchronization, there are a lot many issues you will get it. So this is just an example. Since the PDC is there, the responsibility of exchanging the password was PDC, and that was down, and there is nobody to send the password to the DC02, and the DC02 does not got the latest information of the password, and that is the reason it is telling wrong password. But he is doing his job correctly, but the password is not in sync. That is the reason it will tell password is not correct, and he will lock the account. Okay. So if somebody asks you which is the very important role in the Active Directory which will give him immediate impact, you can tell PDC emulator is the only one role. If PDC is up and running, no other role is required instant. You can run the show for 1 week, 2 weeks, or something like that. After that, you will get stuff slowly you'll start getting the issues. Okay, but PDC should be up and running. You will not be able to change the password will not be synchronized to another computer. People will tell my password is different, my time is different, and somebody tells I cannot see the wallpaper, my friend is seeing the wallpaper, because the group policy might not reflect it. Okay, so these are all the importance of the FSMR rules, and you should be aware of it. I think with that we are done with the slides. Any question? Any slide that you want me to repeat? Or let me know if you want anything to be repeat. Quickly, I can do that. We still have 7 minutes of time.
Sir, if PDC is down,
Yeah,
PDC is working.
yeah,
As you said, it was major important role, right? You gave an example also of that
yep.
controlling the password. If DC01 has accepted the password, DC02 has not accepted. How
Yeah.
to overcome that issue, sir?
How to, oh, that's what you have to make sure the password, I mean, the PDC is up and running. The domain controller which is holding the PDC role, no, it should be always up and running. Okay, another one is the ports between the client and the server segment should be always up and, I mean, opened. See, you never get such issues. See, normally when you have a domain controller, that time the ports are by default opened, because the firewall team, when you deploy the domain controller, before that only they will open the port. Sometimes what happens, they will do a lot of reviews, they will do a lot of changes in the firewall. Sometimes due to some reasons they may tweak the existing firewall rule, and that time probably the port got missed, or maybe some other rule has taken more priority and that got win, and the ports 123, port number 123 NTP, I told you know, maybe that is down. That time what happens, the communication won't happen. So you need to work with the firewall team and understand why the time is not in synchronization. Okay, work with the firewall team. If you need, you can even raise a Microsoft case, and Microsoft people will come and they will check that. Actually, there are a lot of commands to verify the replication, whether the Active Directory replication is happening or not. Okay, so but you will understand, because sometimes it will log in, sometimes it will not log in. So what you have to do, when it logs in, right, you go to the command prompt. There is a command, actually it says settl. If you put settl, see, it will tell you what is your logon server. So in this case, my logon server is this desktop, my laptop is my desktop. Okay, so that is why it is showing me this one. But when you log in, that time it will give you DC01 here. When you are unable to log in, the authentication will go to DC02. So who will tell this? The firewall team can tell. When they will ask you to initiate the traffic, that time when you enter the username and password, what they will do, they will take your computer IP address and the destination domain controller IP address, and they will see when you hit enter what traffic is flowing between your client and the server. So then they will know, okay, you are trying to enter your username and password, you are initiating your authentication, but the traffic is now going towards the DC02, and the traffic is dropping there. The traffic is not reaching to the DC02 because there is a firewall block. They will be able to tell this very clearly with artifacts. Okay. So make sure your PDC is up and running, and make sure your the required ports are opened. You will never get this kind of issues. Clear?
Okay, sir. Okay, okay.
Yep. Any other questions, guys? Okay. If no questions, I think we are good to close. So we have still 3 minutes. So tomorrow we will connect, and from tomorrow we will start from the scratch. Okay. Uh, how to promote a domain controller, and what are all the day-to-day related
But
activities with respect to Active Directory.
these two classes will be from tomorrow. It will be like practical section,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. These two will be practicals. Yeah.
Okay.
1 week we have the practical. Almost 1 week we will have. Okay, because we need to create a domain controller. We need to show day-to-day operations. Then we need to show how to check the FSM roles, how to move FSM role from one.
After that, AD classes, what will be there?
After AD we have a couple of services. Okay, so
Oh,
DNS is there, and file server is there, print server is there, ITIL is there. So
okay.
another by next week we can close.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sir, in Windows Server 2016, which operating system we have to install, sir? Standard evaluation
Standard
or
evaluation data center.